We open in the heart of the storm. The Xavier Institute library is a gothic tomb tonight, the rain hammering against the glass like it's trying to break in. Magneto and Xavier are locked in their final ritual, a game of chess that has lasted a lifetime. Magneto slides a metal knight with a sharp click and utters one word, check. He isn't just talking about the board, he's telling Charles that their dream is standing on a foundation of sand. Xavier looks weary, pleading for the game to just be a game, but Magneto is done with the fantasy. He turns to the window and tells Charles that peace is just a sedative we feed to children to keep them from screaming when the slaughterhouse arrives. He can feel the magnetic north of the planet shifting. He can feel a shadow falling over Latveria that Charles' telepathy can't even touch. The kings of yesterday are out of time. Then the atmosphere snaps, the library is drowned in a toxic emerald radiance, a light that shouldn't exist in nature. Xavier screams as his nose begins to bleed, realizing with a cold shock that every mind on the campus has just gone silent. He tells Eric that there is nothing but silence outside. The air rips open, a jagged wound in reality, and a sorcerer's portal shreds the library into splinters. Through the emerald smoke he steps out, Dr. Doom. This is the ODJ-inspired Iron Mask, and it is cold, unyielding, and terrifying. He looks at these two kings of mutant kind and tells them they've spent a lifetime fighting for a seat at the table of men, while Doom has come to flip the table entirely. Magneto doesn't wait for a second invitation. He rips the structural rebar and the very plumbing from the walls, creating a localized hurricane of jagged. He calls Victor out as a trespasser, telling him this is his domain and to prepare for correction. It's the god of the earth versus the god of the machine, and the air is screaming with the friction of the metal storm. Understand the level of disrespect here. Doom doesn't even flinch as thousands of pounds of kinetic metal fly at his throat. He raises a single gauntlet and a green shield flares to life, vaporizing the rebar instantly into a mist of molten iron and ash. He mocks Eric, telling him that his domain is just a graveyard of failed ideals, that while Magneto fought to be equal to humans, Doom fought to be superior to gods. He looks through that iron mask and drops the coldest line. He didn't come here to trespass, he came here to inherit. Seeing his friend's physical power fail, Xavier attempts a psychic spear aimed at the center of Doom's soul. But guys, entering the mind of Victor Von Doom is a suicide mission. Charles hits a wall of pure iron ego and screams, crying out that the man's mind is made of iron. On the astral plane we see the true horror. Xavier is a flickering candle in a hurricane of green fire. Touching Doom's mind is described as trying to drown the sun with a cup of water, a physical impossibility. Doom's psychic presence is a monolithic titan that crushes Xavier's soul into the dirt, leaving the professor's mind fractured and bleeding. Doom is bored. He ends the struggle with a flick of his wrist, unleashing a surge of eldritch lightning that shatters Magneto's connection to the planetary magnetic field. Magneto is thrown like a ragdoll into the rubble of the dream he spent his life trying to defend. Doom stands over the broken kings, telling them to kneel before the only king that matters. And then we see it, the helmet. The symbol of mutant defiance is left cracked in the mud. Magneto whispers to Charles that the dream is burning and you realize the old god has officially failed. Doom stands over the broken hover chair, declaring that the mutant age is over and that he is the final word in their history. But then, a red dot, a single needle-thin beam of light burns a perfect hole into the floorboard between Doom's boots. It's precise, it's disciplined. Doom just pauses and utters a single hum as he realizes the soldier has finally arrived. In the doorway stands a ghost, Scott Summers. In this absolute world, he isn't the Boy Scout, he's the man who had to bury his mentors while the world watched. He walks past a bleeding Magneto and tells him to get up because the fight isn't over while a soldier is still standing on their feet. Doom is totally unimpressed, asking the Boy Scout if he's here to beg for their lives. But Scott is done begging. He tells Doom that today he isn't a leader, he's a reminder of everything Doom can't conquer. He tells Victor that he's done holding back. The red glow from his visor is the only thing lighting up the rain, reflecting off the droplets like red diamonds. You can feel the kinetic tension in the room reaching a boiling point, the air itself vibrating from the energy Scott is barely containing within that ruby quartz frame. Scott reaches up and grips the edge of that visor with a white-knuckle grip. He talks about how Charles always taught them control, how the professor feared what they could actually do if they truly let go. He tells Doom that Charles thought the world wasn't ready, but then he drops the coldest line in the script. I stopped holding back 10 minutes ago. Scott rips the visor off, and the world simply ends. He doesn't just fire a beam, he unleashes a dimension of pure, unadulterated kinetic force. In that moment, Scott Summers wasn't a man, he was a nuclear sun in a blue suit. The recoil is so massive it cracks the marble foundation. Doom is hit with the force of a falling moon. We see his magical shield's defenses that stood up to the full power of Magneto, starting to fracture like glass under the weight of 1,000 hammers. Doom is screaming in actual, unadulterated shock, being forced onto his knees by a mortal who finally decided to let the dams break. Inside that red torrent, the iron of Latveria is screaming. Doom's armor is glowing orange, it's bubbling, it's failing. Not even a god can stand against a man who has nothing left to lose. The mansion roof is vaporized and a massive red beam of energy levels the entire building from the inside out. The energy signature is visible from space, a red scar on the face of the earth. Silence returns, but it's the silence of a tomb. Scott is on his knees, smoke rising from his face where the visor used to be. He's blind, he's empty. He asks the silence through heavy breathing, is it over? Did I do enough? But through the steam, doom rises. The mask is shredded and we see the scorched face of Victor, the RDJ likeness beneath the iron. He tells Scott that while he has the power of a god, he lacks the stomach to finish what he started. Doom doesn't even kill them. He opens a jagged green portal telling them to enjoy their ruins because he has a universe to save and no time for the dead. The final shot is an extreme high-angle view looking straight down at Cyclops alone in a massive blackened crater of Earth where the Institute used to be. The dream is ash, the books are dust, the heroes are broken, the narrator leaves us with a chilling truth: the world wasn't broken, it was gone. If you liked it, please be sure to like, share and subscribe for more. It really helps us a lot to grow. Thank you.